and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be answering all the questions that you guys asked me on one of my posts that I posted about a week or two ago. I asked you guys to ask me questions about me and Anthony's relationship. However, you guys all asked me questions about my kidney transplant journey. So I'm going to be answering those questions for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you guys like it, please don't forget to give it a huge thumbs up. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and please don't forget to turn on that bell button for push notifications so you can always be updated when I am posting a new video. So let's begin. So I have the questions right here. I'm going to be reading them and answering them as I go down the list. So the first question is, do you constantly worry about transplant rejection? And my honest truth is no, I don't really worry about my transplant rejecting. I always try to speak life into it, and I always try to be very positive about it, and always just ask God to please let this transplant last a long time and to let it be like the average, the medical average of the whole 12 to 20 years. And I always try to really take care of my transplant and rejecting. I just try to stay positive about it. What I do worry about a little, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, is that kidney disease, you know, ends up killing me at a young age and me leaving Emery behind. That's like my real worry, just leaving Emery without a mom. And yeah, that's just like my worry. But I try not to think about that either, because then I'm like, you know, my imagination has power, and if I'm imagining something bad like that, that could happen. So I try to stay as positive as I can, and I try to hopefully, you know, be strong and healthy. I just don't want kidney disease to be the death of me. I always want, if I am to leave this world, to not let it be kidney disease. And I always try to say, like, if I do die, it's not going to be kidney disease. Please don't let it be kidney disease, because I just don't want that to be the end of me. And also leaving at a young age is my daughter. So that would be my worry, not really transplant rejecting. Okay, second question is, which were the side effects of the medication in the first month? So when you get a transplant, you are on immunosuppressants for the rest of the transplant life. And the first month of transplant, I personally did not have any side effects. I guess because I was only taking the medications for the month. So obviously I'm not gonna have side effects right away. Maybe some people do. Me personally, I didn't. However, I did start to experience the side effects about 3 months into the transplant. I started to experience weight gain, hair loss, hairiness. It's funny because I started to lose hair all on my head, but the rest of my body got very hairy. And that's all because of the medications, but nothing like dramatic. I did start to have some like stomach pain, but however, I am taking famotidine, which is a pill that will control like heartburn and acid reflux and so forth. So yes, I wasn't experiencing too much of the side effects aspect on the first month. It took about 3 months to really start feeling the side effects of them. Next question. Is it okay that you eat chicken every day? Do you eat fried foods, and how often a week? And are you still taking prednisone? Okay, so I do eat chicken almost every day. I personally don't see a problem with it. I try to avoid porks and like occasionally have red meats, but other than that, I mostly stay eating chicken. And do I eat fried foods? No, not really. I do like stir fried, if that makes sense, but I won't like put it in like in flour and then like fry it. But I do like stir fry my vegetables and my chicken, or I'll put my chicken in the oven. So I guess you could say I eat like some fried foods, but not really. Maybe once a week if I eat like a Chick-fil-A sandwich from Chick-fil-A, but not really. Yeah. I hope that answers your question. I'm probably not answering it that good. I'm sorry. Next question is, Are you still taking prednisone? I am taking prednisone. I am taking 5 milligrams. I did start taking 20 milligrams after the transplant, and over time they just decreased the medication. Next question, do I plan on having more children? And if so, how is the process? Okay, so this is a question that I get asked all the time from you guys. And it's not something that I'm planning, but my thing is if it happens, you know, it happens. And I would just be a little nervous about it for the simple fact that I went through a ton of things with my first pregnancy, and it was a hard pregnancy on my body. So I would just be a little nervous about how the transplant and how that would be having a baby on a transplant. My doctors did say that after a year of being transplanted, you are allowed to get pregnant. It would just be a high-risk pregnancy, and a high-risk pregnancy, obviously you're gonna have a ton of risk. So yeah, I would just be nervous of that, like going through the risk. And the process would be high risk, and you do have to switch from Prograft to CellCept if you are taking Prograft, because Prograft can harm the pregnancy, like your baby. In my case, I am already taking CellCept since I am allergic to Prograft, so I don't know, I really wouldn't have to do much different, I guess you could say. Okay, next question is, how would you cope with school and your health altogether? Okay, so when I found out I had kidney disease, I was in school, and then when I found out I had end stage, I had just graduated high school. So it was a blessing in disguise in that aspect that I was already done with high school. However, I was already enrolled in classes at the local community college, so I did have to drop those classes because I was doing dialysis and I was pregnant, and it was just too much stress. I was already stressing out my body physically. I wasn't trying to like have my brain working even more with balancing school. However, at the time, I did have to balance dialysis and raising a daughter. So that was difficult, but not impossible. What I would do is basically, I switched to peritoneal dialysis, which is honestly, in my opinion, it was just the best for me. It's way better than hemodialysis, in my opinion, like I said. So what I would do is I would do my dialysis at nighttime, and during the day, I had no problem taking care of my daughter, taking her to appointments, and really raising her, and then just do whatever I had to do, because I was also balancing photography on the side. So I would do most of my like editing at nighttime while she was sleeping, and I would go and take pictures when she was at school and so forth, because she did start Head Start when she was 3 years old. So that was also a like break for me, I guess you could say. And then during the transplant process, I had my family that also helped me, and Anthony that helped me through it too. And dealing with transplant, now I can be fully dedicated to my daughter and really to everything else, because transplant basically gives almost your complete life back. So now what I do is I balance raising my daughter and photography and YouTube, and those are like my two, like I guess you could say, jobs. And what I do is I either film at nighttime or do editing at nighttime. I try to do that as much as I can while my daughter is asleep, or when she's at school. So that would really help out. And then when she's not at school, she comes home, eats, and then she has a lot of after school activities that I am taking her to. So the trick is, for me at least, is to do everything while she's asleep. And yeah, I try to really force my body. I know sometimes it's not that healthy for you to force your body, but I've always been the type of person that I will force myself and push myself to do anything if I really want to do it. Next question. Is there a risk of skin cancer with any of your medications? And if so, how do you manage when out in the sun and traveling in warm countries? Okay, so with the medications, yes, there is a risk of skin cancer. And what the doctors recommended is that you see your dermatologist before transplant, so they could see your skin before transplant and how it looks. And then you see your doctor about a year after transplant, so that they could see if there's any changes or any difference in your skin. In my case, I did notice that I did have some changes. I was having random like blood vessel like burst, I guess. And I thought it was due to the sun, because at the time I was like really traveling to very hot countries, and I just really thought, I was nervous that it was from the sun and that it was like skin cancer, because I was super paranoid. The doctors really like scared me about the whole skin cancer thing. But then I went to see the dermatologist. My skin looked very healthy. And he told me that I had to just see him annually and not to be too worried, because especially if you're young, you are on a little lower risk than somebody else that would be like in their 50s or so, or 40s. So what I do when I'm traveling to a hot country or somewhere where I'm gonna be out and there's gonna be tons of sun hitting my skin, first I always put tons of sunscreen on. I am constantly applying sunscreen, and then after, most of the time I am wearing a dress or a skirt, and that usually covers my legs. And what I do is, I don't know if you guys can see the shirt. This shirt is very thin, but it's a long sleeve and it covers majority of my skin. So what I like to do is I like to wear thin long sleeve shirts, also athlete shirts, like those athlete sweaters, like not sweaters, those like working out clothes that are thin, like, but they're like sweat resistant type thing. I like to wear those, and I always just like to wear long sleeve. I'd rather just sweat and like really endure that heat than like risk my skin. So yes, I just try to do that, cover my skin and put sunscreen. That's what I try to do for most of the part. Next question. During early stage of kidney transplant, how did you deal with infection? And what are your symptoms of infection? Okay, so during my kidney transplant, I was in the hospital. I came in for surgery on Friday and I was discharged on Monday. So I was only at the hospital for 4 days. 2 days after I was released home, I got a UTI, which is a urinary tract infection, and I personally didn't do anything wrong or didn't do anything different from the instructions the doctors gave me. It's just something that kind of happens inside of your body, something that you really can't control. Infections are common the first month because honestly it's one of the hardest months, and I wasn't worried about this either, guys, that the first month was gonna be that hard. So what I did and what I want to recommend you guys to do is to have a very strong connection with your transplant team. If you guys are feeling nausea, fever, chills, any symptoms that might be out of the ordinary, definitely contact your transplant team, because they will tell you what to do. If you need to head to the hospital, if just anything, they will let you know. So what I would do, I would take my weight and my temperature every morning, and when I found out I had like the UTI, I wasn't feeling anything when I would go and urinate. However, I was having fevers and they told me to come into the hospital because of the fevers. So yeah, just stay on top with your transplant team and they will really guide you through the process on what to do in case of an infection. But I always recommend that you go to the hospital even if you're having any doubts, because they will really know what to do if they have to save your, transplant from anything major. So that's very important. Stay on top of your health the first month, because you never know what can happen. It's one of the hardest months in my opinion. Next question. After transplant, which foods do you take for breakfast, lunch, and dinner while traveling, like in hotels? Okay, so I don't do anything different really when I am traveling, and this is just me being honest with you guys. I do obviously look at my food, make sure it looks clean, make sure nothing is landing on it, no mosquitoes, nothing. And then I just pray and I just eat. And also if I'm eating fruits and stuff, I scrub my foods really good. But honestly, I've been very blessed in that aspect that I haven't gotten sick from anything I eat. And what I believe and I know is what is protecting me from that is I pray over my food. I always ask God to clean it and to purify it, and if there's anything that is not from him, that anything that is ungodly, any sickness, any danger that might be in there, to just clean it and wipe it away. That's what I do. Honestly, I don't do anything different. I just pray over my food, guys. And this is a 3-part question, so let me answer the second one. It says, which juice or smoothies do you drink mostly after transplant? Okay, so my favorite juice to drink is my green juice, for the simple fact that it is so healthy and refreshing. It is a lot of work to do because it does have a little bit more ingredients, but it's just the best juice. Like, I feel so healthy every time I drink it, and like my system's always clearing itself. Like, I'm constantly using the bathroom while I'm taking this smoothie. So I'll put a little card note so you guys can see if you guys want to check out that video. But yes, that's my favorite smoothie. Next question is, what is my creatinine level? And they asked about the hemoglobin and the tacrolimus. However, I am not taking Prograf, so I couldn't tell you that. My creatinine, however, is 0.8 the last time they checked. My hemoglobin is a 12. Next question. How do I manage with infections after transplant, and what are the precautions that I take? Also, if I could talk about my tacrolimus levels. Like I said previously, I am not taking tacrolimus. I was taking everolimus before, which is the source, which is like, I guess you could say a brother or cousin of tacrolimus, and I did not do good on that medication, so I did have to switch to CellCept, and sometimes switching medications will be what is causing some things or some harm. So basically, how I deal with not getting an infection. I only had an infection once, and that was 2 days after I was discharged. But I'm very careful what I put into my body. I always try to eat as healthy as I can and as clean as I can. Also, not just inside your body, but also on the outside of your body. Have good hygiene. Be very careful and cautious. Make sure you're cleaning yourself right. And I'm sorry if this is very like TMI, but yeah, just have a good hygiene. Know what you're putting into your body and how you're cleaning yourself, and also spiritually have your relationship with the Lord. Ask Him to guide you, ask Him to protect you, and to really watch your process. That's very important, because, and that's what I honestly give all my credit to, because it's not me, it's not my own strength that I am doing this, or I've had such a success on my transplant. It's not any of mine, you know. I always say it's because God, He has given me the wisdom and the knowledge to understand a little bit better how to take care of myself and how to take control of my health in that aspect. So yes, I hope that answers your question. Another question: did you ever try daytime peritoneal dialysis? Yes, I was doing manual, which is basically in the daytime. For about 3 months. I did 4 exchanges a day. I personally did not like it. I preferred the automatic so much better, because it was during nighttime, and manuals during the day, where you basically have to be at your house. For me, I felt, even though you could do it in your car and anywhere or at your work, but I just didn't like, you know, doing it or being at the house all the time. I didn't want to even have to carry it around to do it anywhere. I just found automatic to be so much better in my aspect. But yes, I did try it. I did not like it. Second part of the question is, what was the most difficult thing about nighttime peritoneal dialysis? Honestly, I didn't find anything too difficult, but at least during like the whole cycling process at nighttime, I did the drain. Obviously that's gonna hurt, but that's gonna hurt for nighttime and daytime. But one thing that I noticed when I switched to the nighttime is that I started to have really bad stomach pains. Like, I'm talking about excruciating stomach pains that I felt like I really thought that the stomach pain was gonna kill me, type of pain. Yeah, but other than that, that was like the difficult part for me, and that's what I found the hardest. Last and final question: was your potassium high or low before your transplant? Were you ever on sodium bicarbonate? Okay, so yes, when I was on dialysis, I did have a very high potassium and a very high phosphorus. So you're supposed to watch your intake on your potassium and phosphorus, sodium, fluid, so forth. However, I always struggled with my potassium and my phosphorus, because obviously the kidneys weren't doing its job, and dialysis helps to a certain extent. Diet is really important while you're on dialysis, so that's like the key to it. And the second part to it, was I ever on sodium bicarbonate? No, medically speaking or doctor prescribed speaking, I was never on sodium bicarbonate, which is basically baking soda. I was never medically given that. However, I was my own little doctor. I had read an article of a study that they did in England, I believe. I don't remember exactly, that this doctor was giving his patients baking soda. Guys, don't quote me on any of this. Go check it out for yourselves. Do your research by yourself. And I was taking baking soda. I was taking it every single day. And I don't know if it really gave me like results. I was doing it while I was on dialysis, but yeah, I was taking it every single day. I stopped it because I got my transplant, and I was like, I'm not trying to, you know, let it interact. But yeah, I would my own self prescribe that to myself. What I would just do is I would get a spoonful of baking soda, mix it in with some water, and just chug the water. My grandma, she does take that as well, and she still does it. She takes it when her blood pressure is feeling a little high, or when she's feeling a little sick. She takes it, and she said she feels good right away. But yeah, don't try that. Don't go try that just because I took it. Definitely speak to your doctor about it and do some research about it, guys. So that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Also, if I answered your question, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to ask them down in the comments below. I would love to do more of these videos for you guys. I hope you guys have a blessed and beautiful day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.